listening to The Light, Dhamma podcast. I'm Gunjan.
I'm Rajiv.
Our
And we have a
guest,
guest
Sherry.
today.
yeah, our guest is Sherry. Over to you, Sherry, for a brief intro for who you are.
Gunjan, Rajiv, firstly, thank you so much for for providing me this platform and this opportunity. Rajiv has been following up with me. Sherry, you must do this, and I really appreciate your patience. It's been the last couple of weeks have been quite a roller coaster ride, and the movements in terms of the schedules. Thank you for accommodating it, and I'm grateful for you providing me with this platform and this opportunity.
No, you're welcome.
I'm Sherry. Shehrazad is my real name. I keep asking my parents, initial years that why did you name me Shehrazad? Because people found it so complicated to pronounce. And I said, it's the hardest name amongst the three siblings that we have. My sister got a simple name, Farah. My younger brother got a simple name, Faiz. And I got the most complicated, difficult name, pronunciation, Shehrazad. And my mother went on to tell me, and my father went on to tell me, is that your grandmother named you. So they wanted to pass the buck on to somebody else that she's responsible for it. So if you don't like it, go catch her by the collar, right? So my mom's mother named me Shehrazad, and over the last few years I have realized that it is such a beautiful name. Shehrazad is the princess from the Arabian Nights, and
nice.
I go back and I research what the meaning of this name. It's a Persian name, and what the meaning is. It's a city dweller. And I do believe that your name, the
Defines you.
meaning of your name, you will start seeing yourself, living to that name, right? So I am a queen of the concrete jungle, and I love city life. I cannot imagine myself living in the mountains or in a coffee estate, which I did for some time. But I need the city. I need the hustle and bustle. So let me tell you a little bit about me.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I was just going to say, yes, tell the audience your, story, both personal, professional. How did you go from strength to strength?
Mm-hmm.
I know I love that phrase that you use, strength to strength, rather than from weakness to strength.
Yeah. I actually, that label was given to me by a person who interviewed me in my previous company. So I wouldn't take credit for, I just gave her my entire, life journey. And she actually gave it that tagline. So all credits to her. And she was actually denoting what she saw in that interview, right? And it was beautifully put. I do believe that build on your strengths. Continue to think positively and just move forward with resilience, with that value system I talked about at the start of. I do believe that your value system, right? Your principles and your value system, what you stand for is very important.
Yeah.
Having your identity is what makes you. Somebody asked me the other day, Sherry, you are financially independent, and that's why you're a strong woman. And I'm like, actually not. I know my principles and values, and that's what makes me strong. So that's the heart and the core and the center um, of my belief system that makes me and gives me my strength. The financial angle is important, totally, and it gives me a lot of independence to do what I want to do, the way I want to live, and give myself a better life. My education, my qualifications, my work experience is another area that gives me strength, right? My work passion, my growth, my career, that is the other set of elements. My travels, my social system gives me my social system, my friends, my family, my work colleagues is another source of strength, right? So they're the outer layer, but my inner layer is I know what I stand for, because I can go to sleep at night, putting my conscience at peace, saying that, I did the right thing. Doesn't matter, I was standing alone, but I did the right thing and And then you will find it easier to navigate, because your personal belief system will help you get there. Though, it's not very easy in this world, but coming back to this is what I'm going to do, because the tougher things are not a practice of the common man, right? And that's what sets one apart, right? It's always easier to go back and cry and say that, oh, I'm not able to do it, and this is my weak point, and I don't want to do it, right? But I want to build on what is possible. And I keep telling people, through my life's journey that, and I'm talking to currently a lot of women who are in this phase of having children. And I said that, there was a lady the other day crying, and she said, oh, my mother-in-law is saying this. My mom is being so hard, and I don't know how I'm going to, cope with motherhood, with working, and I don't know how it's going to be to, bear a child. And I said, every day is a beautiful experience. There will be challenges in every phase. Reconcile with those challenges, because look at the bigger picture in mind, and move forward in that journey. So that's a little bit about
question, because what you are talking about, strength to strength, is contrary to what we have here, what we have heard and what we are told every time, that focus on improving your weakness. Nobody focuses on building on strength, because they assume that once you are strong in some place, you're strong. But I think this is one of the, in my view also, I have a similar view that you should build on your strength rather than trying to focus on weaknesses. So talk about, what would you do with your weaknesses? Do you not focus on them, or do you convert them to your strength? But all your weaknesses should be your strength.
Yeah, that's a lovely question. There was some interesting research that was done by Gallup, right? And they have the Strengths Finder, right? And a lot of companies have adopted their model of building on strengths. Now, I do want to mention two things, right? I said that you should be very self-aware. You should know, what makes you, your constitution, what your strengths are, but you should also know what are areas that are holding you back. Now, while I say that you should build on your strengths, because that's your comfort zone, you'll find yourself navigate life's journey through those areas. But the areas that are holding you back, be self-aware and build on those as well, because those can be elements that can actually deviate your growth, right? So let me explain to you what I mean, okay? And when I was, growing through my career, right? Lots of strengths, but I was discovering myself in this journey. I was discovering Sherry, who got involved too early in her life in a relationship. She didn't realize there were lots of things that she could contribute to, that she was not aware of, right? So so I wouldn't say they were weaknesses or opportunities of development, but it was just that Sherry was not aware, right? So life's journey will throw out situations to you that you can embrace as a challenge and grow, or you can choose to just say that I'm not going to be able to do it, right? So while you're building on your strengths, you should also build on an opportunity at hand. Okay, so when I started my career, I did not grow my, I did not have a lot of, HR experience and background. So when I got employed with Intel, it came from a personal situation. So and I'm going to take you back to my, my personal life and journey, right? I was born in Calcutta, the city of joy. My parents gave us the best education. I went to Loretto House. I went to Bon Grace Montessori, in Calcutta, still very, very prime institutions. But we spent a very short, span of our life there. We then moved to, to Bahrain, because my father, after his experience at India Foods, his first company, that corporate that he got employed with after his his master's with the IIM, Indian Institute of Management. I have an elder sister, and like I mentioned, a younger brother. My sister is a few years older than me, just 2.5 years older, and then my brother is 4 years old. So when we moved to Bahrain, Fez was just born. So my mom left Fez with my grandmom, and the four of us, moved to Bahrain. They were getting a hold of, a life in a new country. My mom, who was never working, she started working with Citi. My father was employed with one of these very large, multinational universal enterprises. Right. So we had a fabulous life. We lived in a very prime location. We had a nanny. We had we went to Indian school, which was one of the best schools at that time in Bahrain. And my brother came in, I think, after a year, right? And in this process, when we were growing up, my parents, grew us up to be very, very responsible individuals and very independent individuals, right? I would, go to collect my, brother from, nursery after I came back from school, and I was so little myself, right? So, I would go and pick him up, bring him home. I would do, a lot of activities to, to entertain him. I would manage sometimes the house, and I enjoyed doing all of that, right? So that was, the life that we lived. Now, being the middle child of the two children, it's a middle child syndrome, right? So my sister got a lot of attention, my brother got a lot of attention, and I felt that I was the only one who was, the unfortunate
That's
one.
middle child syndrome.
Malcolm in the middle, right?
Yeah,
Middle
Malcolm,
child
Sherry in
syndrome.
the middle. I mean, Sherry in the middle, right? So I was feeling like I was just so deprived. And, I would find that, I was just going out trying to seek validation and seeking attention. And, I wanted more love, right? In the thing from, everybody. And that's what, caused me to get into a relationship too early in my life. With a person, unfortunately, with all due respects, he had his own ways of doing things. I had my own ways, but I was, looking for love. Treat me, in sometimes giving me the opportunity to go out, giving me the opportunity to, taking me out, taking me, to do things that I liked. But he also, unfortunately did things that I thought was okay and acceptable, right? Which was not the right thing to have accepted in my early stages of my life. I thought it was okay. And I said that, but I'm still getting a little more attention here than I'm getting in my, my personal space. And, a lot of people told me, wiser people, I would think, in my same friend circle, but I, saying that, Cherry, this is not the person for you. My father too said that, Cherry, this is not your, this is not the person for you. And, give yourself a little more time. But I was like, I was so wrong. I was so wrong. I should have come out of this much earlier in my life. And, things didn't work out. We chose to get married. I did work for Deutsche Bank for a year. And I was pushing to get married, and my father said, give it another year. But I said, no, I want to get married, and I want to have children, and I want to, and and I'm going to be moving into this, this coffee estate and living on a plantation. My father said, Sherry, don't give up your job at Deutsche Bank. Don't give up your job. I'm telling you, stay put in the thing. And I'm like, then he told me how to conquer, because since I'd made up my mind and I was so strong-minded about this decision, he told me that, when you go to Coorg, you start reading, keeping yourself busy, right? And the thing. And then I realized, the first year was great fun. And, first few months was great, but then I realized that, oh, this is just not for me. So I started looking for things to do, because I am a very restless individual. I do want to, have that moment of, uh, always doing something, even if it's in the kitchen or, or helping out. I'm not such a great conversationalist with women, right? Sitting and, talking about, some things like, aaj khana kya paka, and, whether the, what is the, child going to do, or what are you wearing? It's just not that, right? I have very more, a lot more, powerful things to learn and intellectual conversations to have, right? And I found myself that I was just actually down spiraling. But I tried for jobs in Coorg, and at that time I tried for 2.5 years. I tried to help with the work in um, with the family. My father-in-law was a gem of an individual. He, grew an empire for his family, not just his immediate children, but his brother's family. He had plantations all over Coorg. He had farmland. He had built hotels. He had done phenomenally well, with limited education, but his passion. And then he told me that, Sherry, do whatever you want here, do whatever you want. But I was trying. I would go for walks in the plantation with my husband, that regular walk to see if the, laborers were watering the Arabica plantation. Then I would go to the factory to see whether the coffee was being cured. I tried working there for a long time in operations. He built me a fabulous bungalow. I mean, I'm talking like 10,000 square feet built bungalow in Kushalnagar. And he said that, this is your home. It was overlooking the monastery, farmland, and it was like a picture perfect view. And I did everything to get the place constructed. I built like with the workers, got fabulous construction done and everything. But I couldn't adapt to that life. So I went out actually trying to get another job in Coorg. And the only one place that seemed to have an opportunity at hand for my personality was Orange County. And it was this hotel, and that lady interviewed me and she said, Sherry, I'm taking you, but you're going to be spending 2 hours each way to commute and come to this workplace. So
The Orange County.
you stay with us. I'll give you space at the hotel, and you stay with us. And then I said that if I'm going to do that, I may as well move to Bangalore, right? Because I'll get better opportunities and this thing. So I started interviewing for jobs in Bangalore, and my father-in-law was not very happy. He said that, I told you you have to live here, with me, and and because if you're not going to be here, your husband will not be here, and who's going to take over this plantation? And but I tried really hard. I would, I tried everything, but I went back and I was looking for an opportunity. And when I was riding this auto, I was just trying to, in Bangalore, when I was in this thing, I passed Dew Park Trinity. Rajiv, you would know.
Yeah.
Intel's office was, right? And at that time, you had to look at this IT directory to get, what kind of companies there are. There was no Google and searching online for jobs. So you had actually a phone number that you'd have to dial and, tuck, tuck, tuck on your phone, or, use that,
The old,
the phone
yes.
instrument, which was like,
Rotary phones, yes.
those, that rotary phone, yeah. So I did that, and I picked out 10 companies. Intel was one of them. I was passing in that auto and I saw the logo outside and the jingle, tang, tang, ta-dang,
Yeah.
and I said that, oh, this is right. So I got employed, and, they said, how much salary do you want? I said, give me 19,000 rupees a month. And they said, 19,000, we'll give you 19,500 a month. And I was like, wow, I'm going to, I have so much money to spend. Every month
you asked for too little.
Yeah, and those are just two paychecks when you feel, oh my God, what will I do with so much of money? And after two paychecks, it's like, yeah, it's just
So little.
But Shay, question that I want to ask here is, and I'm curious that there's a difference between showing courage, strength, and grit. It takes a lot of passion and perseverance to do what you actually want to do. So just curious that what are these three elements for you? Courage, strength, and grit.
So courage, I think, is maybe just being bold, knowing what you want to do, and standing up for for this. One of my managers in one of my performance reviews wrote that Sherry keeps me honest. And she is very bold, but she keeps me very, very honest, right? So I think that's courage. You will be hit multiple times, and and I'll
That's
tell you
an
more about
art.
my
That's
story.
an art to be okay with if people hate you for
Yeah, and that
the things that
moment,
you're doing in a right manner.
yeah, exactly. And in that moment, you feel that you're beaten down, that you can't do it. Right. And I told you this part about my father-in-law, but I said, I have to convince him. I said, I have to convince him. And I said that I'm not going to, I'm going to pick this job up. And I took this job, and I actually went to Coorg every weekend. I would take a bus on a Friday evening after work, and I would come back on Sunday evening. I would take a BTS bus. I mean, after living in a 250-acre, coffee estate, I was still, keeping to his word, to my word, that I would not let you down. And I would give it my best. So I would go in that bus at night. The driver would come and pick me up. My husband would come and pick, at that time, my husband would come and pick me up from the bus stop. And then I'd go home, I'd relax the next day. Sunday afternoon, I take the bus back. And then after 1 year, I was getting so tired. And, unfortunately, after that, didn't want to stay in Coorg. He saw that Cherry was living a fabulous life. She was doing so well. So it's easier for me to, that was the worst thing that happened, because that's exactly what my father-in-law did not want, right? And he came and he just landed himself in Bangalore. And I said, what are you doing? And he said that I also don't want to go back. And I said that, oh my God. And I said to my sister-in-law that I have nothing to do with this. And it was not very pleasant, because my father-in-law said that now that both of you all are working in Bangalore, please move out of the house. And he was so annoyed, and he said that, figure out your life. You're both independent and now work. So going back to the point that you're making, is that where does your strength come from? Where is the grit, right? So if you're seeing the story is narrating that to you, courage, the ability to take a bus and ride to to the estate, which was like close to a 5 hour, 6 hour, 7 hour bus ride to get to to Coorg, to the estate.
Yeah.
And it was about grit. It was about finding your strength to to continue to live to your commitment, your authenticity, your commitment, your compassion. These are my values,
So
and this
Sherry,
is what I continue to. Yes.
I think one of your story highlights one of the very important point that is also theme of our podcast, and we keep talking about self-actualization and self-realization. So if I'm sure that a lot of people who would be listening to it or watching it, they would say, you walked away from a life that
Yeah.
millions would want to have and created something on your own,
Yeah.
because you know because that was not you and this is you. So talk about the flower that bloomed in your heart, because now you are you, rather than you are trying to live somebody else's life, no matter how good or how grandeur it was.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's why I say that discovery, that self-discovery is very important. I would find myself actually going into uh, these moments of just silence. People would say that you don't talk. Sherry, you're sitting in this thing, but you don't talk. And I was just trying in my mind, I was just, grappling with my position, right? And I was listening, and I was I was not myself. So they would say you were very different in school, naughty and full of this life. But I saw myself becoming a person that was trying to cope. I was at work. I would be, working really hard. I would, give it my 500%. In fact, when I was, I went through, going back to university, studying when I was at Intel, I had multiple manager changes. And Ram Vasantaram, right? He would see me many times and say that, Cherry, why are you still in office? Go home. And sometimes I didn't want to go home. I just wanted to, I just didn't want to cope with that situation, because it was not very pleasant. So I was trying to, while I was giving it my 200% in my relationship, I just felt that I was getting a lot of the um, fulfillment from my job, right? It was helping me build my um, my intellectual capacity. It was helping me cope with a lot of other things, right? And it was giving me a lot of fulfillment, right? So I kept going back to doing, my job. And I was, with my in-laws, I would, in my first few years, it was a little hard, right? Because my personal relationship was not very good, right? With my own spouse, we were also coping, and trying to adjust, which is the case in anyone's marriage, right? But it was just, my in time, I just reconciled. And I today would say that I had a fabulous, relationship with my in-laws. I met some of them a month ago when they visited from the US, and I was telling my daughter when she was sitting with her cousins and my brother-in-law and my co-sister that Jemima, I was the most doted over daughter-in-law. And they went on to say my sister-in-law, co-sister, and my brother-in-law said absolutely she was. And I said that my mother-in-law is very angry with me today because she didn't want me to break this marriage, and she said that she was very hurt. Anger stems from something; it was from pain, right? And but I had to do this because I was reaching a point where I knew this is not going to take us anywhere. Um, so the point that y'all are making and asking me that, Sherry, when do you draw this line, right? And you have to be able to understand that the amount of effort you put into something and it doesn't translate into results. A friend of mine told me that, Sherry, it's not worth it. The dividend has to come back because you will only be putting in and putting in and putting in, and there is no
Here's
deposit
the
that you
point,
can
Sherry,
meet. That is
that I want to make here, that giving up and quitting, these are sign of strength.
But you see, no, I have a contrary view. I want to ask that the amount of effort, we put in, let's say, you said that you worked like 200%. No, I remember, Sherry working in Intel, one of the reason I wanted her on this podcast because I'll talk about my first impression about her when I walked into Brigade Champak. That was the building where I first met her. And so my question actually is that you made a choice to put 200% effort in your job, in your this thing. But what if you made a similar kind of effort into, let's say, the life that your father-in-law was
personal life.
trying to give you? Now,
Yeah.
would the results have been different, or why did you choose one or the other, right?
And that's what I said. I tried 2.5 years to put in that effort. And that's why I gave you that story of what I did in Coorg to make it work. I told you about the jobs I was trying to get. My brother-in-law from the US, he gave me an assignment to do. But I was just not feeling it's going to get me anywhere. I used to sleep in for hours, and then I said that I would try, this other option, and I would work, and I would come back every weekend. So I was not giving up, right? I was trying to make it work. So what I'm saying is that the effort, if you put in and you're not seeing the returns, if it's not giving you, it's keeping you in that low self-esteem and you're always in self-doubt, it's not worth it.
So essentially what you're saying is that, you try, you try your best, you put in all the efforts, but then there comes a time when you say, okay, enough is enough. And then the strength is walking away from a situation that will not improve or is not going to take you anywhere.
Yeah, because you've tried, but it was just not, working out. So I'm going back to this point that I made earlier, is that give whatever you do your very best. And if you're seeing that the return is not to the level, whether it's a job, whether it's a relationship, a friendship, anything you do, don't be beaten down. You should reap some benefit from it, right? At the end of it. right? And if it's not giving you that mental stimulation, it's not giving you the happiness, right? Then there's something wrong. And I'll tell you, this wise friend of mine who told me this, that Cherry, if you're putting in so much effort into, into a relationship and you're not reaping any result, it's just not worth it. And she was so right. So today somebody asked me, do you think it was better if you walked away earlier in your relationship? Both of you parted earlier. I mean, with all due respects, it's both of us, right? It's not just him. It's
Mm.
both of us,
Yeah.
right? That had to try, and both of us did try.
Yeah.
I did not want somebody to change because of me, because he'd never be happy, right? Doing what he was doing, and we were always in an argumentative mode, right? It was never fulfilling for either of us. So then, the Indian traditional mindset is, come on, guys, now you have to have a child, right? A baby will change the life, right? So after 10 years, we tried to, we conceived. The best thing that happened in my marriage was my daughter. And, I wanted a girl so badly that, once my mom told me that, Cherry, you're going to have a boy. And I was so upset, I started weeping. But my father said that, no, I know she's going to have a daughter. I went and performed this Umrah in Mecca, and I could see this picture of this girl. And my father-in-law would say, "Oh, it's a boy. It's going to be a boy." And when I delivered, and my gynac showed Jemima to me, and she said, "Cherry, it's a girl." And I was like crying in happiness, tears of happiness, as they say, right? And I was the best thing that happened was Jemima. And I said that I wish I had two more children out of that marriage, and at least my fulfillment of my maternal wants and
Desire,
desires
yes.
would have been complete. And I really wanted uh, to have two more children, but unfortunately, yeah,
Well, you can always adopt.
Yeah, you
it,
can
it didn't
always
happen.
adapt it.
So somebody told me that, right, Sherry, you can adopt. And I said that, I don't know if I will be that great and honest a mom of a child who's not my own. I don't know. I've
There's
not
no,
tried that
see,
space,
Sherry,
but
there's
my
no
mental makeup.
surety. There's no surety that that will be a second kid and third kid. Like, as you said, you had middle child syndrome. There's no surety that even if that kid is homemade, you'll be treating that kid in the similar manner what it was with first kid. So there's no surety anywhere. Homemade,
But I
adopted,
think, yeah,
foster, really
yeah,
doesn't matter. It's just whatever that kid has in him, they can really attract love. They attract love.
And Jemima doesn't want a sibling. She's told me, go get a dog, because she doesn't want to part with any attention that she gets, right? So,
yes,
so I
yes.
actually, funny enough, I actually went after, we called off this relationship and this thing, right? When I went moved back to my parents' house, I actually went to my gynac and I said, I want to freeze my eggs because, I want to, I may just choose to have a baby at some point in my life. And I didn't do it. And I'm hoping that even at this stage, somebody told me you'll have a baby. I said, actually, I don't mind. And they said, you're mad in the thing. You won't have the energy
I'll
to
I'll share
deal
one
with um,
podcast with you we did with Kavita Kanaparthi. Amazing story, amazing story. So her divorce case went for 13 years. And after getting divorced, she became a mom at the age of 42. She's from Bangalore and good friend with Rajiv. Currently, she's stationed in Dehradun. But yes, I'll definitely share that link with you. Very inspiring story. But coming to you, Sherry. Sherry, how do you want people to remember you as? And what would you like to leave in your legacy?
yeah. So if you'd ask, actually, I'm going to do this, okay? I'm going to read to you. I can tell you um, that Sherry stands for authenticity. Authenticity is integrity, a wee bit of vulnerability. Sherry stands for compassion, and Sherry stands for creating impact-based results, right? So these are the three things that Sherry stands for. I'm going to read to you this, and I kept these intentional, notes from the people who wrote this to me over the last, few years, right? And when I was coming out of a relationship, a very close friend of mine wrote to me that I hold you up as the gold standard in my house, as someone with grace, dignity, and an everlasting joy for living. Truly, you are just an amazing human being, and I mean this, is what she wrote to me. Somebody told me, and I'll show you another. I'm reading all the nice things, huh? There are not so nice things as well. Yeah. So, yeah. I'll tell
Yeah,
you the
we only talk about nice things.
yeah,
Yeah.
So I'll tell you the not so
Yeah.
nice things as
Yeah.
well. I'm quite open with this thing, right? So, hey, Sherry, thought of dropping a quick thank you note. This was from a colleague who left. He wasn't part of my team, but he wrote this me. The past 6 months were full of learning. I surely had to unlearn and relearn a different style of working. I really like the way you drive sessions and ensure people are engaged throughout. The other takeaway would be that of sharing the feedback. Your ability to make people feel heard and feel special is amazing. Would surely want that to be imbibed in me. These are some of the things that, um, are powerful words. This is what Sherry stands for. So, Gunjan, to your question, hopefully this answers a lot about Sherry. And what I also like, and I've heard a lot about is when I say integrity, right? And it stems from this experience I had when I came back from Bahrain, right? And when we came back from Bahrain with my father was just, trying to get us into school. My parents were trying to get us into school. We were trying to buy a car and, get our lives, in order. We had a beautiful home in Richmond Town. If you're familiar with Bangalore at that time, in the 80s, it was, the heart and center of Bangalore. And, my uncle had given my dad his car. It was a Fiat,
Yeah.
Premier Padmini, right?
Yeah.
And my father was driving, and we went to Brigade Road because my father parked this car in Brigade Road. And he said that I don't know if this is the right place to park. And I passed this a really terrible comment saying that who cares, Abu? It's somebody else's car, right? And my father told me, he stopped me there in the middle of the road and he told me that, Sherry, always remember that somebody else's you have to take care of 2x, and that was integrity to me. That
Good
to
values.
that
Yes.
value is stuck in my head till today. And that experience that I had in 1990, I remember the position where I was standing on the road. And he told me this. And and you won't believe it, Rajiv Gunjan, when I was talking to I went to therapy for a very long time coming out of marriage, right? I told her that I have very limited, a room for nonsense and lies. And she said, Cherry, flash back and think about where is it stemming from. And I told her, this is the experience. This experience, whenever somebody does something wrong, I just have zero tolerance, but I'm trying to accept this. Right. So when you asked me this question earlier today, that Cherry, what are your strengths and what are your opportunities of development? While integrity is a strength, how do you navigate in this world? Because I would tell you 90% of the people do things that are easy, right? And may lack integrity, right? So I keep, how do you navigate? And it's not a weakness. So that's an area of development, and that's something that I'm still working on, right? And I'm learning to, to cope. These are small little things, but you have to accept people because the world is is not an easy pace. And keeping your principles and values up there is something that you would find hard to to cope with. I gave up my house in this whole episode of of my marriage, in the thing. And we had a beautiful home. We lived in a penthouse, which was a lovely home that we both found. I was very attached to that place. It was just so fabulous that every painting, every curio, my parents and my in-laws gifted us a lot of things, was done up tastefully. Each piece was done up with a lot of want and desire. I love keeping home. I had I love cooking, and I loved bringing up my daughter. We tried to make our marriage work. I'd spend weekends with my in-laws. I spend more time with my in-laws than I did with my parents. My parents' grouse was that you never come to our house. Lives have changed. I mean, I've been living with them now 10 years, so they cannot complain. But now the complaint is that you're only working. and you're only doing this, but I'm with them. And Rajiv, Gunjan, this was the best thing that happened when I moved out of that house. I said that I don't want to fight this. I said that I'm giving up. I'm giving up my home, which was everything for me. But I wanted to. I wanted my daughter then, and my father said that you have Jemima, build her up to be, a strong, woman. Um, and and I did that. Today we are friends. We are, I went for a holiday to Goa with her friends after she finished her exams, 10th grade exams in February. And the mothers came along and they told me and her, we are very confused. What kind of a relationship is this? Who's the mother? Who's the daughter? We don't know. You'll seem to be friends, and anything I need, Jemima would just jump in. My phone fell in the water. I lost my tickets. I lost access to, we're so digitalized that everything was on that phone. I did not have access to. She did everything. She said, "Don't panic. I will take care of it." And there's a funny story, right? Rajiv, they said that what next for Sherry? And I said that I do, want to continue my career. I do want to um, find a partner, and I want to settle. I'm very old school. I don't believe in live-in relationships. I don't believe in having these little affairs. I want to settle in a matrimony. And people told me I am mad. They said that you are crazy. I said that why? I love in-laws. I love being married. I'd love to go back to that old scheme of things. And my daughter gave me this piece of advice, right? And she told me, fine. I asked her if it's all right, right? And she told me, I'm perfectly all right with it. But whoever you choose as your partner, right? And he should just treat you like a princess. He should offer you so much love that he should be just doting over you. So that's her criteria. And I said, what about you, Jemima? What about loving you? She told me that, Mama, you would never marry anyone who would not love me. Right. So I don't have to worry.
Yeah.
But
So
love changes. Love changes over
It
time,
evolves,
right?
Rajiv. It evolves
It was.
with time. Yes.
it evolves. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It evolves. I think it evolves. And the focus is, like my sister said to me, that Cherry, you need a very strong man. And a strong man can help grow with a strong woman, right? And that strength comes from not having an ego or having all the money in the world. It comes from being very self-conscious, from being, knowing what you stand for. It's your own personal belief, and being
Knowing who
aware of
you are.
knowing who you are and being self-determined.
The message that resonated with me is something we also discussed in a couple of other episodes, that strong women will always attract strong men. And it's a fallacy
Yeah.
or misnomer that I think a lot of people say, that strong men do not like strong women. And this is where I think even we talked about with the Kavita, and there was another person we had on our on the podcast.
I mean, my friends are very, very strong personalities. And, I have friends who are, many of them are, I would say 90% of my friends, 95% in this today's environment are still married. And, I've seen fabulous relationships that they have with their spouses when, because their spouses are internally very strong. It's not an external view. It's not your physical strength.
Exactly.
It's not it's your acceptance, right? And knowing yourself, right? And an acceptance of the woman. So I think that's what makes a difference. And for me, my one of my wins has been my daughter. We still have a long way to go, but I feel very proud of being her mom. I was
Yes.
just so happy. My uncle, my mom's brother wrote to me, Felix uncle, he wrote to me saying that, I don't know how you've done this all by yourself. As a single mom, you've grown her, to be a wonderful human being. She sometimes is the mirror to me, Gunjan, Rajiv. She tells me, Mama, that was very, very mean what you said. And I go reflect and I go and correct myself that, she was right. And then she tells me, oh, this is not proper. or this is something that is an opportunity. I just love her to bits. I have this, like people have this, the cigarette smoking when they're giving up, right? They're giving up and they have this withdrawal
Withdrawal
symptoms.
symptom, yeah.
I have this withdrawal symptom where she's moved into her own room. She is, she doesn't give me
You're
all that
lucky.
attention that I really want as.
You're lucky your
Huh?
you're lucky your teenager daughter talks to you, because teenagers are like boyfriends who are just not interested in you. They want you, but they're not interested in you. They talk
Oh,
in monosyllables. So yeah, I must say you're lucky that your teenager daughter is talking to you. Sherry, thank you. Thank you so much. This was amazing. Our epitome of strength, courage, integrity. It was just who you are and what you stand for. It was lovely talking to you. Any last comment from your end, Rajiv? It's our ritual that Rajiv will read out a couplet, and yeah,
Now let's first hear from Sherry. I will, in the meantime, I will pick something out.
yeah.
yeah.
No,
I've
no,
talked about my values, Gunjan, Rajiv, but I think that there are a lot of people in my life who have shaped my thinking, made me a better person. I think my family and my friends have been a phenomenal support. I have ex-colleagues, Rajiv, like look at you, after how many years we are connecting, right?
Yeah.
I mean, can I pick up the phone and talk to any of my ex-colleagues across my 3 organizations that I, worked with, and ask them, I need this, and they would say anything for you. I have had team members who have um, a phenomenal impact. There's one lady who works with me, Nishta, phenomenal impact, right? That you can see you have shaped their journey. They have helped you see the mirror yourself. And, I've had ex-colleagues who I can pick up the phone, Vinod, I can talk to him anytime, give me advice, what should I do and manage this? And they're there. So close friends. I mean, uh, I have a group of, like Jemima can tell me, Mama, these are your buddies, right? My parents, my sister, my brother, my extended family, my nieces, nephews, my brother-in-laws. I can still, even if it's my in-law side, a lot of them I'm connected with, a lot. And we can pick up the phone and laugh over the stupidest jokes, right? And I can pull their leg and we are in like moments of laughter that, we can pick up where we left off from many years ago. So I am very grateful, very, very grateful. I pray. I'm very connected with the basic values of my religion that makes me a better individual. And that's where my principles and values stem from. So I'm very happy in the place I am today.
Good, fantastic. I think, really wonderful messages for our listeners. So, I have a habit of like writing, sometimes good, sometimes bad. But the first impression I have of Sherry is the smile. So that smile, stayed with me. And the couplet I wrote preparing for this episode is based on that, and also based on the key messages. Actually, what I observed about Sherry, which she's, strength from strength is the core value set that she has. So I'll say this. Let me know how you like it. So एक मुस्कान निडर दुनिया की आंखों में आंखें मिलाए और बोले, यहाँ साथ चलो या पीछे आओ या फिर हटो मेरे रास्ते से.
So sweet.
Rajiv.
That is so true. Hmm. That is so true. And that's so kind. Thank you so much.
Rajiv is our thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sherry. Thanks, Rajiv.
Generally, have a fabulous day. Thank you. Take care.
Thanks. Wishing the same.